We are importing 26 hamsters, and I cannot wait to tell you about it. Hey guys, I am finally back. I cannot believe it's taking me this long. I'm so sorry. I am in a little bit of a different setup right now. I'm downstairs in my living room. We will migrate back up to the Hamstery later on in these YouTube videos. But for right now, my daughter is currently sleeping right here. And so I just want to be close by if she wakes up from her nap. But anyways, we have about 15 days until the import takes place. So much could happen between now and then. But I still thought, you know what, let me sit down and give you guys at least some of the fun information so that you can look forward to this as much as I am looking forward to this. So let's get started. 26. That is a very large number of hamsters to import. I recognize that. I will not be keeping all 26 hamsters. I will be keeping 9 for myself. 9 of them will be going to Megan, who is ethical breeder in Canada. Her hamster is called Elevage Loop Hamstery. I really hope I pronounced that right. It's French, so I have it's a little bit hard. So 9 to me, 9 to Megan, and then we're importing 8 Syrians that are going to be dispersed throughout some of the ethical Syrian breeders in North America. So some in America and some in Canada, which is really exciting. So our goal is to import the hamsters on May 1st. They are going to be flying from the Heathrow Airport in the UK all the way to the JFK Airport in New York. My sweet husband, I literally have the best husband ever. He is going to fly up to JFK on the same day as the flight where the hamsters will arrive. He will fly up earlier that day so that when they arrive and they are able to go through customs, my husband will be able to pick them up and then, of course, rent a rental car and drive them down to where we are. Megan and him will meet at that middle point in JFK because she has to drive down from Canada and we have to drive up from South Carolina. So it's a good little meeting point. It's about 13 hours for both of us. And I'm going to stay home because our sweet baby girl, her name is Melody. She's 6 months now. We both think it would be a lot for her to have to sit in a car for the entire day of a 13-hour car ride, and that's without stopping. We don't want the hamsters to be in small carriers and just in this constant traveling environment we want it to be. Currently, right now, I am working with a pet shipping company, and this is the same thing I did last time, but I'm just currently talking to a different agent than I did last time. The last woman that I talked to, she was amazing. Her name was Jennifer, when I did the import 3 years ago, and it was so fun because Jennifer, she literally had hamsters, and so it was just so fun to talk to her because she understood all things hamster. But the person I'm talking with now, his name is Ian, and I am super thankful for him too, but he has not told me that he has hamsters. So this company is helping us navigate all the things on the UK side. And because I've already worked with them before, I felt very comfortable not flying to the UK to be very hands-on with the process because now I know exactly how everything works. I know everything that's needed, and I'm also working very closely with the ethical breeders over in the UK who are going to be helping me to make this import happen. There is in the UK and all over in Europe and just everywhere that is not America, honestly, there are hamster shows. Can you believe that? If you've never heard of that before, you should 1000% look it up. Also, I have a question. This is a side topic. Here we go. But it's a good side topic. But should I host a hamster show? And instead of it just being a hamster show, we could have it be like rabbits and all the different rodents, and you bring your pet with you. So it'd be different prizes for like coat and temperament. Wouldn't that be so fun? I live in Rock Hill, South Carolina, so it's like near Charlotte, North Carolina, and I feel like I could find somewhere that would let me host that. So let me know, put in the comments, because if you guys want to do it, ethical breeder from the UK that I work with, her name is Jean. She is from TriStar Hamstery in the UK. And she told me that if I did that, that she would fly down to the US and that she would judge the hamster show. The reason I was telling you guys about the show is there is a show, Houghton Expo in the UK, and it is the literal weekend of Easter. And the lovely Jean is going to be traveling to the expo, and she will be collecting hamsters for us from different breeders from around the world, which is so cool. So with 9 winter white hamsters, right now we are getting 4 males and 5 females. And this is going to help us bring so much genetic variety that we should be able to last 3 years, if not 4, before we're wanting to go ahead and probably do another import. The 8 Syrians that are going to be collected by Jean at the expo, I don't have a ton of information on the hamstries and all that information just because I haven't been as closely involved as the Syrian ethical breeders have been handling that. Once the Houghton Expo takes place this coming weekend for Easter, then Jean will literally pack in her lovely car all of the hamsters in carriers and will drive them back to her home. Once she arrives back home, she will house the hamsters in her hamstery for a couple of days, and then she will travel to Susan, who they're both in the UK, but I can't remember exactly what city they're in, but they will have to do a little bit of a drive to each other, which is just, Gina's the best. I love her. And so she will go ahead and drive to Susan, and then once she arrives at Susan's house, they will both take all of the hamsters, because we're getting some from Jean and some from Susan as well, and that's how it ends up totaling up to 18 hamsters for winter whites and then 8 additional for Syrians. So they're going to take 26 hamsters in the car to the vet, because then the vet has to give what's called a fit to fly certificate. And this is just pretty much where the vet is saying these hamsters have been checked to acknowledge that they have no health issues that are able to be seen, no sort of diseases, so on and so forth. Once they go to the vet, and hopefully pray for me, pray for them, that they get the fit to fly certificate, because that would be horrible if they didn't. Then Jean and Susan will be stuck with another hamster that they didn't necessarily, plan for. The goal is for them to all be healthy enough, of course, to fly. And then they would keep the hamsters for one more day. A customized crate will be delivered to Susan's home, and then Susan will go ahead and pack up all the hamsters very carefully and pack them in with a bunch of bedding to make sure that they can't really move around, that they can burrow down and feel really secure. This is what the carrier looked like last year. We're currently in the process of making the crate, so I don't have a picture of the current one, and it's going to be much larger because the previous one only housed 10 spots. This one is going to be 26, which is so many. It's very important to fill it with a lot of bedding, because then that just ensures them having just a lot of good amount of space to be tucked in and very secure, and it won't feel so just scary. And what's great about it is obviously airplanes can have turbulence, but we're not going to have to worry about anything harsh happening to that crate. The way shipping, if I can say it that way, flying hamsters or any other pet works when they have to be in cargo and when they're not allowed in cabin, is they're put underneath an airplane in a temperature controlled compartment of the plane, almost like a room specifically designed for things like this, where they're flying pets over the ocean. They call it transoceanic. That is when they require the animals to be in the cargo area, and they are not allowed in the cabin. So we have no choice. They have to be in the cargo, which is why it doesn't matter if we go to fly down there or not. We aren't allowed to touch the hamsters at all or be involved with boarding them on the plane or anything. It's all done through customs. And that's another thing. I have to get a license. It is a fish and wildlife license. Why is it fish? But it allows me to import and export live animals from another country into another country. So it's kind of like getting your fishing license. You have to fill out the paperwork, you have to apply, you have to pay the fee, and then you can get your paperwork and get your license. Now that I have that license, I present that license on the UK side of it. So I guess I'll just explain it all. Well, what will happen is the pet shipping company that we're working with, they will send a pickup person to Susan's home, because we do not expect her to drive the hamsters all the way to the airport for us. And so they will pick up the hamsters and they will collect them. They will bring the hamsters to the customs office, if I can say, section of the airport. Then they will be processed through customs. And so that's what we did last year. Is we dropped, or 3 years ago. 3 years, not last year. I always keep saying last year, but it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago in August. 2022 of August. Crazy. We dropped off the hamsters at the customs area. We provided the paperwork that was necessary, and then we were not allowed to go any further. And the next time we saw the hamsters is on the flip side, picking it up at customs in the JFK airport. And so the pet shipping driver person will bring the hamsters to the customs. Customs will do whatever things that they did that we don't see, and then we'll put the hamsters on the flight safely. The hamsters will fly. That's another thing. The reason why we have to go to New York is because there is not a direct flight to Atlanta, and Atlanta would be the closest place to us in South Carolina. We do live right next to the Charlotte airport, which we were trying to make that work, because that would be a 30-minute drive for us, which would be amazing compared to 13 hours. But apparently the Fish and Wildlife Customs whatever doesn't have a hub in Charlotte airport. So we would not be allowed to fly the hamsters to Charlotte. They'd have to fly to Atlanta. But Atlanta has a monopoly, and only British Airways is allowed to be flown from the UK. So this time, which we did use British Airways 3 years ago, but now we're going to be using American Airlines because British Airways upped their prices. It was something insane. It was like 3 or 4 times the price of what the other airlines are. And they're allowed to do that because they are the only direct flight from the UK to the Atlanta airport. So we decided JFK was the best option. And it also helps Megan because poor Megan, she's in Canada. So she would literally have to drive all the way down to us. That would be really, really far for her, poor thing. So this all worked out fine. Once they arrive at the JFK airport, they will be taken off of the flight and they will be given to customs on the JFK side. And once they are released from customs, then we will be able to collect them and pay whatever additional fees are required, as well as we have to pay customs on both ends. We have to pay the customs in the UK and the customs in the US. We also, of course, have to pay for the crate itself, the shipping company, as well as the flight for each hamster, the vet visit for each hamster, as well as the driver that we will now be having. And so it's a lot. It is a blessing to be doing this time with other ethical breeders. Last time it was me importing 8 hamsters and then 2 Syrians for a couple of the ethical breeders. But now it's a much larger scale, so it should make the costs a little bit easier to absorb for all parties involved, which is really, really great and definitely allows us to import more hamsters into the US to better all of the lines, which is really exciting. I get this question a lot, so this is kind of like a side topic. Do you know of any Campbell ethical breeders, Robo, or Chinese? And the answer is no. To my knowledge right now, there are no ethical breeders that breed those species, or they are not under the CHA list of ethical breeders. And if you don't know what the CHA is, it's the California Hamster Association. So I recommend checking it out. Just type it in on the Google and you'll find it. It's really, really cool. You can literally view all of the different ethical breeders that are vetted and abide by the Breeders' Code of Conduct. That is what the CHA has created. And so it is a really, really great accountability and level to just, hold each other accountable, a standard, let's say. Once my husband collects the hamsters, he first has to take a picture of them because I need to see all of my new babies. I need to come up with so many more coffee names. Do I do a different name theme? Do we go like, I don't know, what is other than coffee? There's nothing. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments if you have ideas. I'll take them all. The flight for the hamsters to JFK is in the afternoon. And so when the hamsters arrive in the afternoon, it should all go to plan where the hamsters can be collected by my husband that same day within a couple of hours, as long as everything goes to plan with the clearing process and the paperwork, which again, it should. These people are professionals. They know how this works. I'm working very closely with them in email to make sure they have all the necessary paperwork, etc. However, it is crazy that there could be something where if there's any sort of issue, the hamsters are transferred to an overnight pet facility, and it's where they would keep any animal that aren't able to make it through the custom process in time, or if there was a late flight like an 8-9 or there's a flight delay, etc., they would go over to this like sleepover place, I guess, for the pets. And so then we would have to pay for the pets to stay in this place, which would not be ideal. Not necessarily as much of the money issue, but I worry that they would not take the animals out of the crate, that they would leave the animals in the crate and just like give them food and give them water. And I just really don't want that to happen. I want them to get out of the crate as soon as possible. I just always am, afraid that people don't know how to take care of hamsters. Then my husband will meet Megan there at the customs. They will obviously, Megan will take what hamsters that she is taking. My husband will take the rest. So at this point, 9 hamsters will go to Megan. Then my husband will drive back with 17 hamsters, and on his drive, he passes by Poppy Bee Hamstery, the lovely Jess. Literally, she lives her hamstery is like near Washington, D.C. area, Maryland, somewhere in there. I want to say it's Virginia, but now I'm really confused. But anyway, she lives up there. And so my husband literally on his drive, it's only 15 minutes out of the way to stop at her home. So it works perfectly. So then she will collect all of the 8 Syrian ethical breeders, which will probably be very late at night that night, because it'll be quite a bit of a drive to get that halfway point. But my husband is a trooper. He says he just wants to try to get home as soon as possible and just keep driving. We'll arrive sometime in the middle of the night, which means then I'll be able to wake up and get the hamsters in there, all their enclosures. We have so much to do to get the hamster ready. I cannot wait. I'm gonna obviously quarantine the hamsters and we'll keep them downstairs for a while. I hope you guys loved today's video. It was just so fun want to just sit here like old times and just kind of chat. And now, after like not being pregnant anymore and being 6 months postpartum, I'm finally, starting to get back into what life feels like, not throwing up every single day. So we love that. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you all so soon. If you have any questions about the import, please put them in the comments. I would love to make an additional video once everything kind of settles down, we get through the import, and I can give you guys all the tea. I have thought about doing a breakdown of what the cost looks like and comparing it from the first import to the second import, because I get a question at least, I don't know, maybe not question, I get interest at least once, maybe sometimes twice a month, of people telling me that they're interested in importing hamsters and wanting to become an ethical breeder. And while I 1000% support that, like that is someone who reminds me of me 3 years ago who wanted to do that and I didn't know how. And so I respect that those people are reaching out for guidance, because I mean, it makes sense. I would have loved to have done that too. But the concern is people don't understand the financial commitment that's involved with this. It's not just, a one-time off import cost. It's also the upkeep of the hamsters in general at the Hamstery itself, but then importing hamsters in the future. If you haven't seen this video yet, I think you'd really like it. It is 10 fun facts about a winter white hamster. I'll see you over there. Bye.